Hi, my name is Rebecca Stanton. I'm a literacy specialist, and I would like to present my proposal for a literacy workshop for content area reading and social studies for Queens Middle School of Civic Leadership. The first activity I will do in this workshop is I'm going to be addressing two issues to try to help resistant teachers understand why they need to be literacy teachers in their social studies classroom. And the first thing is I'm going to just address that I understand that social studies teachers feel they're not reading teachers. It's really common for them to see themselves as experts in the field of history and social studies, not as reading teachers. But so the first thing I'll have them do is list the reasons why they're history teachers. So they're going to work in small groups to list these reasons, and they'll share these reasons out to the whole group. And I'm assuming the reasons that they give was that they love they love history. They're fascinated by it. They love digging deeply into historical documents and primary sources, and they think that history is an important topic that can really shape the way that we work in the world. It's not because they love teaching to the regents. So if they want to share their passion for history, it's important for them to understand that they're going to need to be able to share some literacy strategies with their students. And I'll share a quote by Tovani where she talks about that Smoky Hill High School teachers don't see themselves as reborn reading teachers. We're simply trying to help kids get the skills they need to understand and learn about the content we as teachers care passionately about. So the first step that I'll do is I'll have them engage in a turn and talk about the types of reading they do for pleasure. And they're going to list these and share them out to the whole group. And then we'll also have them talk about the types of readings they did as history majors. And I'm assuming that possible list will include things like primary source documents, secondary source documents, monographs, articles, historical government documents, etc. And the purpose for this will be to help them see the different types of genres that are common in their field, and that it's not just history textbooks. Then the second activity that I'll have them do is to see the connection between literacy and history. So they're going to read an article on teachinghistory.org called The Connection Between Literacy and History. They'll read it in small groups and share out those key points, really important things that are listed in this. And I have a quote from here that talks about that. Doing history requires reading many types of genre, from presidential proclamations to private letters, political cartoons. It includes reading images and videos, objects and art. It includes analyzing primary source documents for perspective and reliability, and secondary sources for argument and supporting evidence. True content area literacy in history requires students to learn reading and writing strategies specific to history. That's a really important point. And I'll go back to the idea of that if you're they are already highly skilled readers in social sciences, and they're the best ones to help their students understand the different types of genres that are out there and how to become expert readers in that content areas. And then I have a quote from Tubani that talks about that. The end of the quote just says, teachers of any subject are going to help their cause by teaching their students to be better readers of their content. So before we go into the literacy strategy, I just want to make sure that they understand a few things, like about text complexity, about the varying literacy levels of their class, of the kids in their classroom. And that'll be done in the context of creating a classroom library. And then I'm going to share two activities that will help build background knowledge and activate prior knowledge: the front loading of images activity and anticipation guides. So my first activity is we're going to learn how to build a classroom library of both historical fiction and nonfiction texts. And I want them to understand that if they want students to develop content area reading skills in social studies, we need to ensure that they have those wide range of materials to select from. And that means they need to pull together a classroom library that appeals to varied student interests and reading levels. what we'll do, the method for doing that is we're going to be looking back at the list of reading materials we already developed in the introductory lesson, because as Daniels and Zellerman said, what range of genres, styles, lengths of text, and so forth are we looking for? One way to answer this question is to notice what the thoughtful, curious members of the surrounding adult community are reading. Among your local lifelong learners, what's in the literacy diet? Probably you'll find that these thinking grown-ups read from a wide range of genres and assorted situations and for various purposes. And we want our students to be able to do that too. That's what's going to engage them. That's what's going to help them to develop their literacy skills. And some teachers might say, well, that's why we have textbooks. And I'll help them to understand that the reason that's a problem is that textbooks are so superficial. They're hard to read, very dense. They have high text complexity. They're badly designed with too many graphics and features, overwhelming. They're authoritarian. They don't offer those multiple perspectives we need for good historical thinking. And they often are inaccurate. The next thing I'll have them do is understand a little bit about the literacy levels of their students so that they can develop those appropriate, find different texts at different literacy levels. And what I hope to have them do is have a list of their own students' literacy levels. And if I can't get them to do that, then if I can't get those from the principal, I will bring a list of hypothetical students that are like from my own reading classroom that range from first grade reading level up to ninth grade reading level, so that they can begin to start thinking about the types of text they might include. We know from the simple view of reading that students will not be able to understand a text they can't decode. So we have to have texts that are at a wide variety of reading levels to ensure comprehension. So what I'll do is I'll have them jigsaw out in small groups the key points of chapter of pages 68 through 85 that talks about developing a classroom library. And then we'll list those out and keep those key points up so that we can think about them later. And I want to make sure that they understand that they need to make sure some of these key points are listed here. And those include things like having primary and secondary source documents, balance between hard text versus easier text, short versus long, wide range of points of view, and even fiction and nonfiction texts. Another thing that I want them to think about is identifying a few key concepts so that they can link their teaching to those across the year. And some of those themes can help them develop a really rich classroom library, maybe thinking about things like what does it mean to be an American, race in American society. And youth activism and change is one that's really popular with my students and gets them very engaged. I'm going to provide them with example of some of these readings from my own classroom that have really high interest, low readability content area readers from publishers like National Geographic. I'll highlight a few of these texts and talk about how I've used them before in my classroom and shared them with other teachers at my school. So one of the first things we're going to do is they're going to scan through two of these texts side by side, talk about in small groups, what do they notice about the text? What aspects of the text make it easier to read and understand the content, and how my texts like these help them build both content knowledge and academic language. So I also will share a text sets from children's literature on young activist themes that I have. Children's literature can be really engaging for kids, and it's not just for young kids either. They have beautiful pictures, and they can be very really build background knowledge. Here's some more from the young activist text set, and then there's a whole series of Newsela articles that I pulled out from different youth activists on issues like police brutality, climate change, and food justice. Then I'll show them one of the class sets that me and the social studies teacher and I at my school pulled together for our unit on Long Walk to Water, which is a novel about a young boy that has to escape his village in southern Sudan. And so this text set helps them build background knowledge for that. They can also use picture books to connect to a topic or theme in social studies because they have great narrative quality in studying images. And then I have all of these series by National Geographic that are at high interest, low readability, 3 different reading levels. So each one of these books has 3 different reading levels so that kids can share and collaborate together on them, but at the reading level that's appropriate for them. And they're all on global issues that are really highly motivating for kids. Then I have even these lower literacy levels. Oh, and these ones are also in English and in Spanish, as are the language literacy and vocabulary, which is at the lowest Lexile levels, from 600 to 900. But they obviously, as you can see by some of these topics, Greece in the present and past, women where it could change, they really can be used effectively in a social studies classroom. I'll just show them the insides of these books and show them the text features that they have. We also have another series that's by National Geographic that's also in Spanish and English. And here's some of the insights, so you can just see how it's very reader friendly with beautiful images. And then I even have these eyewitness series that have stories that relate first-person accounts of disasters. Then I would walk them through Newsela and show them how in Newsela they can find different sources at different levels that are in, they can browse here and find them in social studies. And we also have ReadWorks, where they're going to be looking at, I'm going to show them how to search for different Lexile levels and come up with different topics. Like here, this one at political parties, and it's at 700 Lexile level. And then there's ones that are all the way up to 11th through 12th grade. I will talk to them about some strategies for modifying their own texts, and then they will be pulling together a text set of their own by working in small groups to come up with a theme that they might think of, and then match some readings to at least 3 of the lower reading levels on their list that I've provided for them, and by using the Lexile selection features found in Newsela and or Newsela and ReadWorks. And they'll share out these text sets to the larger group. Our next activity is going to be a front-loading of images activity, and I'm going to show them how front-loading of images is an excellent way to front-load background knowledge needed for a new topic or text. Because it's entirely visual, everyone participates, and it sparks curiosity and engages learners quickly in thinking about the topic. I have a quote that I'll share with them by Daniels and Zellman about why this is so effective. And then I will share some of the images that I created with the social studies teacher at my classroom for our unit on for Long Walk to Water. The kids talk back to these images, and when they're seeing them, they talk back to them. And then afterwards, we do some activities like turn and talk and whole group discussions. But as you can see, it gets them right away engaged in activating that background knowledge. And then there's another one that's just on endangered animals. So I'll be sharing all of this with them. And my final activity is going to be to share with them about how to create an anticipation guide or a pre-reading quiz. This gives a purpose for reading, and it also activates schema. They're such powerful tools because they can help students access their schemata on a topic and connect prior knowledge to new learning. And I'm going to share some quotes about Jean Piaget and schema knowledge, schema theory. And then I'll share the procedures with them, like how to create a anticipation guide, and then the benefits of an anticipation guide. I have some resources from Facing History and the Read, Write, Think website that has a template for creating anticipation guides. This is what it looks like. And then I will be sharing that information with them through a presentation and sharing these resources. We'll watch a video of a middle school science teacher using this strategy in his class. And then I'll share my own anticipation guides that we created for Long Walk to Water. Then the final thing they're going to do is going to return to that upcoming unit that they're thinking about. They'll work on statements in small groups so they can give each other feedback and share ideas. And then the teachers will share out their statements to the whole class and share ideas and receive feedback. So I think in conclusion, I think that this literacy workshop is going to help social studies teachers see the importance of teaching literacy strategies in their classroom, help them see they're already highly skilled readers in their field, and it'll give them some tools they can use they can begin to use to infuse literacy strategies in their classroom. Again, my name is Rebecca Stanton, and you can reach me at stanton@mychild.org. Thank you so much.